Disclaimer before we get into the video, I actually worked as a real SDR in the trenches for 2 years, made over 40,000 cold calls. If you'd like to verify on LinkedIn, I was one of the top performers at my company, so you can go check that out now. And I'm also not trying to sell you anything. So now that we're level set, a skill is the ability to do something well. The more skillful you are at sales, the more rewarding your life will be, both financially and also you'll feel good about yourself, because when I'm doing well in my job, I feel better in my personal life and I have more confidence. And if I'm not performing well, that carries into my personal life. So I like to do as well as I can in my career, and then that really fuels everything outside of the office. In this video, I'm going to talk about the top sales skills one must master to be a consistent, high-performing SDR. If you're in sales, make sure to smash the like button below right now. We need to start off by talking about, as an SDR, what are the incentives and what is the outcome you're trying to drive? This, of course, will vary by company. At my company, which is a leading SaaS company, we're hiring for dozens of SDRs across the country. So if you're actually looking for an SDR position, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to refer you. An SDR is incentivized based on pipeline generation. For those of you who don't work in sales, or for those of you who do work in sales, my explanation of pipeline generation is I'm an SDR. I have 100 companies that are my accounts. Once my account executive sells into those accounts and I align to my account executive, I have 100 accounts. I call into account A. I set up a meeting with my buyer persona, the director of HR. I set up a meeting. That meeting goes well and it progresses into another meeting. Whatever the potential deal value would be, that is pipeline. The more pipeline a rep has, the more revenue they can close. And the purpose of sales is to accelerate top line revenue growth. So SDRs are a critical part of any business, and the best tech companies recruit top SDRs and develop them internally to turn them into high producing account executives. That's what I did. I started as an SDR, 2 years. At times I got really impatient and felt like, hey, I'm ready to do this. But the hard work paid off, because as an SDR, you learn foundational skills that I'm going to talk about here today that will serve you really well in your sales career and beyond. So the incentive is to generate pipeline. At my company, the average SDR needs to generate about $250,000 worth of pipeline each and every month. When I first started as an SDR, and this is how your company may be structured, we were incentivized based on meetings accepted, opportunities accepted, essentially. So if I set up a meeting with company A and that conversation turns into another conversation, that's an opportunity, and that's what we were incentivized on. But our leadership learned, hey, reps can just get really small, low-level $1,000, $2,000 opportunities, and you can do 6 of those quickly. Versus pipeline, you really can't hide that. So how do you generate pipeline? And that's what the sales skills you need to know. A skill, the ability to do something well. And when I think about the most important skills as an SDR, first and foremost is cold calling. Cold calling, in my opinion, is the most effective way to generate pipeline. There's a lot of ways to prioritize prospecting, and you want to go and find the warmth. So you got to figure out who are the best accounts in your book, where's the warmth, who are the people that can spend money, and start cold calling them. When we unpack what does that actually mean, you need to figure out what are the skills a part of cold calling that you need to master, and then how many cold calls do you actually need to be making each and every day, each and every week, to have enough live conversations, to set enough meetings, to have enough meetings that actually show up and then convert into your qualified opportunity and or pipeline. When we think about cold calling, there's really 4 key metrics you can look at. And when you're not performing well, you start at the layer 1, which is what is your pipeline generated? And if you're not there, you need to then look at, okay, what is the output that's going to lead to that pipeline? And that's the amount of calls you make. Sales is always a volume game, but the more efficient you can be, the more effectively you're going to get to your number. The 4 skills as a part of cold calling is answer rate. So out of X amount of calls, how many people actually answer? Your answer rate should be 8%. So if you make 100 calls, you should have 8 conversations. So if you ever find yourself on a long stretch, not setting a meeting after a couple days or a couple weeks, put in perspective, hey, if I made 1,000 calls, what does it actually look like? Don't use a small scope of, 200 cold calls, because the numbers, the large numbers will eventually even out. Answer rate 8%, set rate should be around 15%. Of those live conversations, how many meetings do you actually set up? Of those meetings you set up, what is your show rate? Your show rate should be 90-95%. Of the meetings you set, how many actually show up? And then of course, conversion rate. Of those meetings that are completed, how many meetings actually convert into qualified pipeline? That should be around 80-90%. You should be tracking these skills if you're not where you're at, because that is what will get you closer to your number. What is the other skills that also helps with lead generation? And that's sending emails. I'd consider that a skill, the ability to articulate a message well and even be able to do it at scale. A strategy with emails, and this is what a lot of people go back and forth on, is should you send a lot of emails, so quantity, that aren't necessarily customized, or should you send fewer emails that are highly customized? I go back and forth on this, and my answer is you should always try and customize, and you don't need to completely write something from scratch. Have some templates that you like to use, and then go to that prospect's LinkedIn. Go figure out what do they actually do. Go to the company website and just figure out what is their mission, vision, value, whatever, and then just put that, or find company news and put that in the subject line of the sentence and says, hey, your bank stands for XYZ value. This is how we've helped other banks do just that. And that's how I think about customizing, because the more emails you send, then the more calls you can make to go make that happen. So those are two really important skills. And then another skill is social selling, so the ability to use LinkedIn to generate pipeline. I personally don't use LinkedIn to post, to try and generate meetings as a result of posts. A lot of people try and do that. I use LinkedIn to build my own personal brand. But on LinkedIn, you can also message people directly if you have LinkedIn Sales Navigator with messages, whether they're a connection or not. So I think that that's really interesting. It's something I'm trying to get better at. But bottom line, the ability to generate pipeline falls into cold calling, emailing, social selling. So you may be thinking, what else is important, Trent, to be a successful SDR? The answer is to subscribe to this channel now if you haven't already. And the other answer is internal branding. I think that this is something that not a lot of people are talking about that's actually really important. One, do people know who you are? Two, what do people know you for? Are you known for your work ethic? Are you known for the person that always leaves the office early? Are you known for the person that always shows up with solutions, not problems? And if people know who you are and you have a good track record, then people are going to want to work with you. It's going to help you become more successful. So you need to develop an internal brand, whether it be posting on LinkedIn, whether it be doing other things, performance, but also as an SDR, you're aligned to account executives. So when you're aligned to those account executives, be diligent with helping them out. Communicate a lot weekly. Meet with them weekly. Add value. Set up real meetings. Figure out how can you make them more successful, because that's going to help you become more successful. And that is what serves me better than any cold call strategy. It's, hey, being able to network with other people, being able to collaborate is honestly one of the most important things. Being a team player, being all in. All of that's super important and will serve you well in your career. And then finally, the last sales skill is simply self-development. If you can become a learning machine, over the long run, you will outlast, you will outlearn, and you will out-improve in people if you are very deliberate with self-development and figuring out what's happening in your industry, what's happening with these companies you're working with. And then from a product knowledge standpoint, you need to know everything inside and out, because you're gonna get these technical questions, and the better you can answer them, the more successful you're gonna become. So as an SDR, there's a lot to keep in mind. Also, patience. Keep your head down and just grind. Now's the time to work hard, just show up early, to leave late, and to really build your internal brand as someone that works hard, produces outcomes, and you will be next in line to get that promotion. And then when you eventually become an account executive like I did, you'll have the skills. You'll be the real deal, and it just will accelerate your career. So do it the right way, and I promise you it'll pay off. Thanks so much for watching this video. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. Like the video if you're in sales. Of course, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will talk to you in the next video. Also, if you have any video ideas, make sure to drop them in the comments below. On a side note, this is the book I'm reading right now, 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. I'm rereading it. I really like it. Notes on startups or how to build the future. It's really interesting, so go check it out as well. And let me know if I can ever help you. Officially signing off. Bye.